Passion, intensity, competitiveness, players who are willing to go all out each and every night, do whatever it takes to win at all costs, pushing their bodies to the limit, accomplishing extraordinary things. Sometimes it's not only talent that's gonna push you over the hump, but the effort, thousands of hours of practice, mastering your craft, the fundamentals. Not every NBA player approaches the game in the same way. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. This video showcases the most passionate NBA players to ever play the game and how these legends were able to pursue greatness, cementing themselves as NBA all-time greats, needing to win at all costs, going above and beyond by any means necessary. Starting with Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, an absolute icon on and off the court, his legacy cemented as one of one, his championships, postseason success, and leadership will never be duplicated. 11-time NBA champion, 10-0 in Game 7s, 5 regular season MVPs. It's no accident why his number 6 jersey retired across the league, the most prestigious playoff award named after him, more rings than fingers. While many waste hours arguing who's the greatest player all time, Bill Russell simply the GOAT when it came to winning, and ultimately that's the whole point of competing in the NBA, especially playing in any team sports. The 6'10 lefty revolutionized how defense was supposed to be anchored down low, whether it's to chase down blocks. His presence made opponents fearful going near him. Russell didn't care about his stats, only the W's, trusted himself to the point he was player coach for the last 2 titles when his team was supposed to be old and past their primes, played his best when his back's against the wall, elevated his play in a winner-take-all game, whether it's the NBA, Olympics, or college. His team went 21-0 in those games, played 488 of a possible 495 minutes in 10 Game 7s. Even the most unstoppable force, Will Chamberlain, admitted every game for Bill was a title, a test to his manhood. Grew up in the locker room before almost every game as a life or death struggle. While Will only looked at basketball as just a game, the relentless competitiveness brought the best of every one of Russell's teammates. His final game, heavy underdogs, once got the word Lakers owner put balloons suspended from the Raptors. All the balloons be released after the Lakers win the title. The 35-year-old was like, to hell with that shit. Made sure every one of those balloons would stay up there. Locked down defense, late minutes, capitalized his 11th title in the most Bill Russell way imaginable. One of the greatest leaders in the 20th century the world has ever come across. Jerry West, anything short of perfection unacceptable, as portrayed in season 1 of Winning Time. Despite being known as losing the most in the finals, a record 1-8, that doesn't take away from his basketball greatness. When the pressure was on to perform, Mr. Clutch always delivered. Whether it's through injuries or in tight situations, West was a master at his craft, never blamed anybody but himself, intense and moody behind the scenes, even admits he's not the easiest person to live with. An all-around terrific basketball player, incredible ball handler, shooter, passer, insane on defense. His finals numbers speak for itself, being the only player on the losing team winning finals MVP, ringless and devastated in '69. West could care less about any individual awards. Russell even held his hand in shock. Havlicek said to him, "I love you." Knowing how hard West played, had the greatest respect from his peers. The 14-time All-Star, incredibly hurt, even thought about quitting ball after '69 altogether. Didn't think he could endure any more pain, a helpless feeling. Was sure he was going to be labeled a loser forever. Lost again in '70, but finally captured his first title at age 33 in '72. His obsession with the game, supreme confidence, and 100% will to win made West one of the greatest guards the game has ever seen. Those qualities translated to the front office. Has a unique eye for seeing talent before everybody else. Made the trade for 17-year-old Kobe, hit the jackpot landing draft steals in Derek Fisher and AC Green, responsible for helping build 2 Lakers dynasties, arguably the most successful NBA figure the league has ever seen. Dave Cowens. Bill Russell certainly passed the torch to another great center. Hart Knowles did everything needed to win, played with a fury as a scorer and relentless rebounder. Drafted in 1970 out of Florida State, his commitment to help his team win shown fully on display. The insane loose ball dives, leaving his 6
6'9", 230 plus pound body on the line every night, solidified his legacy, 8-time All-Star, 2-time champ, a former MVP, a top 75 player, made sure he was never outworked on the glass, not the most talented, but absolutely tougher and stronger than you, averaged over 20 and 16 in his prime for a 68 win team, a walking double-double after considered undersized, the glued guy that stuck Boston together when it mattered most. Cowan's a masterpiece game high 28 points, 14 boards, game 7 on the road of the finals, outplaying Kareem Jabbar in 1974, the game that decided the championship, a convincing win, knowing for fouling out quite a bunch due to high intensity, became the 4th center to record a triple-double in a finals game in 1976, 25, 21, and 10, despite not getting tons of recognition. The results spoke for itself, developed the jumper, turned himself into a Hall of Famer, truly one of the most underappreciated players the game has ever seen.
The ultimate competitor, legendary trash-talking stories from the suburbs growing up poor in French Lick, Indiana. The killer instinct, unshakable confidence, always wanted and will make the last shots. Even will tell his opponents he was gonna make it and where he was gonna be before it even happened. Looking at his impact, impossible to not consider Bird top 10 most valuable NBA player all time the league has ever had. At his peak, Bird simply as great as any superstar we ever seen outside of Jordan.
Stone cold on the court. After leading an unknown Indiana State to the title game, Boston Celtics at the time still weren't sold he was their white savior. Laughed at, everybody believed he was slow, unathletic, and overhyped, second worst team in the league before his arrival, led Boston to 61 wins as a rookie, the greatest single season turnaround in history at the time, with no McHale, no Parrish, always proved doubters wrong, his level of toughness and hustle, always the hardest worker on his team, played the game like he hated all his opponents with everything, absolutely tortured everybody and wanted them to suffer. A master at winning psychological games, would scrap, fight when anybody crosses the line. Bird never took shit from anybody. After seeing Magic's Lakers win a title, Bird outplayed MVP Dr. J, made sure 81 was his turn, won 3 straight MVPs convincingly, even decided to play left-handed one game to drop 47, rub it in his opponent's face, remained humble throughout his career, hurt his back, shuffling the driveway of his mom's house in 85. That back injury became worse and worse, ending his career in 92, plus his grueling style of play and excruciating combo that slowed him down. Truly one of the hardest workers and smartest players the world will ever see. There will never be another Larry Bird. Isaiah Thomas, still regarded as a top 5 point guard all time, a monster in his prime, elite ball handling, one of the best pure floor generals. There's a reason why Michael Jordan had a tough time getting by the Bat Boys, led by their best player, super dangerous, sacrificed his numbers big time during the latter part of the 80s to help win titles. A few examples of his greatness: 16 points the final 90 seconds versus the Knicks in 84, plus the 25-point third quarter in the 88 finals, hobbling on one leg after a severe sprained ankle. 90% of players today wouldn't have continued, proved his willingness to push his body to the limit. Unlike CP3, Isaiah always seemed to find that extra gear to close out games and not lose in devastating fashion. 95% of the time, the smallest on the court, but always had the biggest heart, changes the flow of the game, never backed down from anybody, has a winning record against both Jordan and Magic in the playoffs, tough as nails when it came to all-time great point guards. Some are pass first, some are labeled score first, but Zeke was a get-it-done type point guard by any means necessary. Being the best player at 6'1" and leading his team to 3 straight finals simply doesn't get talked about enough. Dennis Rodman, the ultimate role player, great at a few things but terrible at many, the king of rebounds, as versatile a defender there was, the master at mind games, one of the most unique athletes all time, the perfect definition as somebody perfecting their craft.
Might have lacked the talents and basketball skills, but all about energy, desire, toughness, a combination of all these qualities. Rodman became a Hall of Famer, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, a 7-time NBA rebounding champion, 5-time NBA champion, averaged nearly 19 boards in one season, the perfect player you love to have on your team and hate playing against. Although he parties and rips as many shots as he had rebounds that same night, by game time, he gave it everything.
The ultimate winner fitted perfectly with the bad boys, off the charts IQ, the fastest anticipation, a freak of nature, unlimited stamina, the living proof of resting and sleeping well don't matter when you can party hard and play hard. Dominated games with his effort in his own world, his own pace, doing what he does, being average size as an NBA player, just 6'6", 220, matched up against anybody on planet Earth in their primes. After a missed shot, nobody's grabbing that rebound over prime Rodman. Nobody in the history of the game maximized their specific skill set better than Dennis. Michael Jordan, as seen in The Last Dance, there's a reason he's universally recognized as the greatest all time. Winning was MJ's only priority. Plus, his God-given abilities allowed him to dominate his era more so than any other player in the history of the game.
The qualities that describe Jordan, determined, perfectionist, and ultra competitive in the 0.1% category amongst humans, whether it's card games, rolling dice, gambling, anything related to a game, you name it, Jordan had to beat you. The mindset in needing to be the best at everything, each and every night, in every minute of every day, also achieving everything that he had in the most dominant run, had the best peak out of any player we have ever seen between 91 and 93. That prime MJ was absolutely untouchable.
Jordan also needed to be successful at baseball, came back and three-peated again as the very best player in the league, humiliated many superstars at his time, teams like Utah, New York, Indiana, Phoenix, and Portland. Still hasn't recovered from being annihilated by MJ 3 decades later, never complained to ownership to bring in any other stars, believing he can always win, absolutely terrorized other players knowing they stood no chance, from punching teammates, demanded the highest version of excellence from his team, imagined the standards he set for himself, even elevates his numbers in the postseason, proved to everybody who was number one in the 92 Dream Team, by far the fiercest of all competitors, a master at the game winners, nobody shines brighter in the final moments, walked away knowing he did everything he could to win the game, embracing the unknown, knowing he put in all the work. As long as he was a member of the Chicago Bulls, starting in the 90-91 season after losing 3 straight to open the year, until the final shot versus Utah, Jordan never lost 3 straight games as a member of the Bulls. Talk about the ultimate definition of the perfect winner, the highest standards of achieving basketball excellence on all levels. Kevin Garnett, the most intense player of his era, the chest-pumping, trash-talk, emotion showed on display, the big ticket had it all, having Anthony Davis-type skills with a Pat Beverly-type motor.
Anything's possible! Anything's possible!
Spent a chunk of his best years on some terrible Minnesota teams, still dragged them to the playoffs, a conference finals in 04, a combination of finesse and toughness, heart of a champion, led his team in all 5 big categories in 2003, equally as good on both ends, led the league in rebounding 4 times, one of the greatest passing power forwards, elite mid-range game, came out sweating during warm-ups, never took a play off, always had the energy to trash talk, the godfather of blocking his opponent's shots after a whistle, making his presence felt, diving for loose balls. No superstar in today's NBA plays as hard as Kevin Garnett. Kobe Bryant, known for the Mamba mentality, had a clear vision as a 17-year-old coming to the league with goals of becoming the best, immortalized his legacy through countless hours of work and dedication, ready for the big moments after being limited by Del Harris as a teenager. Jerry West questionably got rid of All-Star Eddie Jones, allowing the 20-year-old Bryant to flourish, proved to be one of the best closers at age 21, has the type of attitude that could go to any field and succeed due to his tenacity, always the hardest worker on his team, which was why him and Shaq didn't see eye to eye, worked on his craft non-stop regardless of how many titles he had, slept 3-4 hours a night at the gym drenched in sweat, whether it was 3 AM or 5 AM, pushed his body to the limits. There were certainly guys bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic and gifted, but no one worked harder than Kobe, literally married to the game for 20 years, the very best when it came to sheer willpower to individual success. As for his teammates who weren't on his level, Kobe had a hard time trusting them, even passing them the ball. The killer instinct came from his character, whether he had a bad shooting game, always did everything possible to win the game. The passion allowed him to win more titles than Shaq, became a better leader at the latter part of his career, brought the best out of D-Fish, Gasol, Odom, and Bynum. The perfect example summarizing his greatness didn't happen by accident, but the results and endless hours of preparation. LeBron James, the way summer of 2011 went down, many still haven't forgotten James James for his decision to form a super team with the stars all in their primes. Year 20 still has the numbers, longevity, excellence, second to none, although he will always be compared to Jordan with the debates. If you don't believe James is still doing everything in his power to convince more fans that he's number one, you're lying to yourself. Not having the ring argument, it'll be about the total numbers, all-time leading scorer. Between 2009 to 2022, every season from a LeBron-led team talked about in the title conversation. Anything short would be an absolute disappointment. That's why many of his teammates suffered the heavy consequences amongst the media. If you can't perform being LeBron's teammate, get lost, you're not good enough. How many times have we heard that? The 8 straight finals and multiple titles in that span, proving time and time to produce at an insanely high level, dragging less talented teams far, always having a chance to win. His most recognized moment, back down 3-1 in the 2016 finals, backs against the ropes, played some of the best basketball humanly possible. Last 3 games, numbers of over 36, nearly 12 and 10, 3 steals and 3 blocks. Even some top 20 player all time would have folded in those big moments. Spends over $1 million on his body every year. You can't tell me that's not dedication. One thing nobody can ever take away from, LeBron won everywhere he went. Super demanding, pushes GMs to the brink, needing to get new players to help him win. Although it's backfired after the bubble, James's 3 decades of dominance, there will never be another one like him. Those were the 10 superstars that stood out, needing to win no matter what, showing their passions on the court or behind the scenes. The perfect example of the hungriest superstars never contend even after winning their first title. 5 other stars who didn't show as much emotion. Magic Johnson, although he's happy and smiles all the time, his Showtime personality. After Larry Bird beat him in '84, Johnson knew he had to beat the Celtics to cement his legacy. Game 4 of the '87 finals. After Bird drained the bomb, Johnson responded with the Junior Skyhook, an iconic moment in that rivalry. Hakeem Olajuwon proved he was by far the best and destroyed everybody, whether it was former MVPs, current MVPs, and future MVPs, was not going to be stopped. Being the 6th seed in '95, doing the unthinkable. Same goes with Dirk Nowitzki, who needed to win with Dallas instead of forcing his way to a contender. Pulled off the most improbable playoff run, knocked off all the best players in the game. Nothing was gonna stop him in 2011, earning one of the sweetest titles all time, cementing his legacy forever. Paul Pierce always competed with the best, whether it was against Iverson, Kobe, LeBron, or Wade. Played like a superstar and won against the biggest names and the brightest of stage. Tim Duncan showed up every season prepared, remained the same for 19 years, never won fewer than 50 games in a full season, could have folded after the 2013 finals, but came back just as strong in 2014 for full revenge. Duncan might not have said much, but his work ethic spoke for itself. Those were the 15 all-time greats who needed to win at all costs that stood out. I can't put everybody on this list. While the superstars who don't have a ring, CP3, Allen Iverson, and Westbrook, just as tough and plays as hard as anybody, but luck is simply not on their side. Nobody watches film more than Paul. Only a handful approaches every game like their last, like Iverson. Nobody gives 100% effort on every play like Westbrook. While some argue he cares more about individual numbers than winning.
Non all-time great players, honorable mentions. Joakim Noah in his prime with the Bulls had all the heart and hustle one can ask for, but once his injuries happened, it was all over, especially how he robbed the Knicks. Draymond Green with Golden State, a key piece to the Warriors dynasty. Manu Ginobili's approach and aggression gave it everything he had with San Antonio. Gary Payton emptied his entire tank in the '06 finals, came up clutch both game 3 and 5. Miami wouldn't have been able to win without him. And Robert Horry, who just seems to deliver every time in big games, hit multiple big jumpers throughout his career. Big Shot Rob always came through as the ultimate role player. 7 rings, enough said. Thank you so much for watching this video. Which one of these players on this list did you think have the hungriest desire to win and play with the most passion, needing to win at all costs by any means necessary? Would you say it's Bill Russell because he does have the most rings in NBA history and he was never going to be stopped? Michael Jordan, undefeated in the NBA Finals? Is it Larry Bird? Kobe? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe for more content, more good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.